Hi guys, it's Harvey from All Parts Pool and Spa. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Pentair heat pumps for pools, alright? And this is based on minimums, so if you're getting a new pool installed, I just want to talk about clearances. A lot of people don't think of these clearances, but it's very important to, and we're going to label this part 1 of Pentair. There's part 2 of Pentair, but I just want to focus on some clearances on heat pumps. Now this is showing 2 heat pumps. Say, argument's sake, we went from one heat pump to a gas heater. Say Pentair, so we're going to use a Pentair heat pump, and we're going to use a Stay-Right gas heater. They have clearances that they want free air completely around this. Now this is showing 2 heat pumps, but the same basic thing even if we put a gas heater here. There are minimum clearances. And now minimum doesn't mean that, okay, it's 24 inches, I can do 12. No, minimum means this is the minimum distance from cabinet to cabinet. And so, argument's sake, we're doing a heat pump and we are doing a gas heater. You need to look up the 2 minimums, and that's your distance of free, breathable air. All right? So, all the way around this and in front of this, okay? I wouldn't plumb this mess like this because most of your technicians that need to go in the heater need to go this way. So keep in mind, keep it friendly for the technicians. So many times I go out there and I'm a big fat ugly guy, okay? And I am trying to fit a fat stomach around this heat pump against this wall that's got 12 inches of space. All right, from the face of here to the house is 12 inches. Had one this summer. Had to cut the gate away and everything else, pull out the unit, work on the unit, and put it back. And I charged the owner, and the owner didn't understand. And I showed him minimum clearances. He didn't have it. He didn't have a leg to stand on, all right? So that's why I always say read and understand your manuals. Doesn't matter if you have it inspected and have a so-called professional pool person who installed your pool to work on your heater and say, okay, this is the heater, that's how it's installed. I recommend that you get all your manuals and read and understand them, okay? Take the time, know where your safeties are, know where your shut-off valves are, know where your breakers are. So these are minimum clearances between heaters. It's 24 inches. All right, and that's all I wanted to talk to you about is these minimum clearances. Here's a bunch of heaters. So you couldn't put a heater and then a filter right here and then a heater. It needs minimum 24 inches of free air space here. So argument's like, well, let's put a heater here. Well, minimum you need 24 inches. That's what that dotted line is. All right? So just be careful, guys, when you have these installed. This we're going to label Pentair Part 1. The next page I'm going to show you is clearances, because there's another thing of you can't have a roof over this fan, all right, because it'll breathe its own air. But we're talking minimum clearances around these heat pumps. It's very important that a pool heat pump sees the most sun it can and free air. You want your heat pump to work. You don't put it underneath your house. You don't put it underneath a deck. You put it where it can see the most air and the most sun. So argument's sake, we have a township near me. I love these. You go in some of these townships and you have to put a fence around your units because they look too disgusting for these $3 million houses. So you have to have a proper fence. Can't forget that I worked in Ocean Sands, and this is the heater that I had to take out to work on. And I cut the guy's fence off to work on it, found out what I needed to do, and I needed to call Haywood for authorization and everything else. I had the fence off for 4 hours, and I wound up to have the association call me up with a complaint that I had this fence off. So I just shake my head. I mean, 4 hours later, I had to go back up, and I made so it would be swingable and everything else like that because you couldn't access it. So keep in mind of people that need to work on these things. Be a little bit savvy. Install it where, gee, if I went to work on it, could I work on it? And half of the questions will be no. All right? It looks pretty, but it don't work. All right? So these are minimum clearances from Pentair. Okay? All right? This is out of the Pentair book. All right? And I do agree. I know I did one for Jandy. I told him I didn't agree on how they piped it. Remember, after the 90 elbow, to extend it for proper back pressure and everything else like that. I agree with that. This I think is, no, is that the outlet? That's the outlet. All right, that is fine. But you see this little extension on these T's? If you go back to Jandy, I told you extend it after the 90 because you want to develop back pressure for this heater. Because I agree how this is plumbed, this gang plumbing. Okay, I agree to this. This is proper hydraulics on how it's plumbed. You never, if you do a gang, you never want to go in from one heater and put here an elbow. All right, it needs to see back pressure. It needs to see flow, and how you develop that is you put a little extension on a T and cap it. And the other reason why I like doing this, argument's sake, you need to get in this elbow. You need to get in this fitting. You need to do something. Well, if you extended that, instead of putting a 90, you put a T in and you extended it a little bit, you could cut that off and go further down the line, do whatever you needed to do. All right? Same as, I notice you follow my mouse. This is a wall of a pool. We have eyeball here. See my mouse? And we have eyeball here. We come in with the pipe. We put a T. We want to go to this eyeball here and this eyeball here to the pool. So they put in a T, and they go over and they 90 into the eyeball. Well, it's wrong hydraulically. What you want to do is add a little back pressure. So instead of putting that 90 in, put a T in, little extension with a cap, and you'll find out your eyeballs are working better. All right, just make them equal. All right, now argument's sake, if your eyeball here is from this eyeball to that eyeball on your pool is 10 feet away, you put your T exactly 5 feet. Do the same thing with hot water heaters. I love gang hot water heaters. Say you have 2 hot water heaters. All right, same thing. You got water going in one hot water heater. This is for your home. Water going in your hot water heater, come out of the hot water heater, in the other hot water heater, and back out. Well, there is a way to plumb them. That is the wrong way because you're making the first one the slave and you're still running out of water quicker. If you want to replumb if you have 2 hot water tanks, and if you want to plumb them right, email me and I'll tell you how to plumb them right. All right, and you'll wind up with 3 times your water what you have capable now, all right? Because it's plumb wrong. This is plumbed correctly. Hydraulically, it's plumbed correctly. I agree with this scenario. Okay, the Jandy one I didn't agree upon. You heard me, but this is my opinion only. Whoever you go to, again, I tell everybody, if we were all the same, we all buy Fords. I don't know if we would buy Toyotas anymore because, hey, listen. But anyway, this is my opinion only, and keep those distances. Look for Pentair Part 2, and we're going to talk about some other clearances. Again, I'm Harvey, all parts, poolandspa.com.